Hey, Orange One here. We're going to go over how you can get intelligent undead, aka magic users like this guy, to petition to join your fort. I know it says vampire for this one, but if you look at their skin tone, it actually is a lot more like my other undead people that I've got here. Like this dude who is also a citizen. You can see that he is in the citizens page here. Permanent residents do show up there as well, but this guy can actually join my military. So you can see if you go to your military dwarves, that dude's right there. He's undead, and because he's undead, he gets magical abilities. But to get these guys to join your fort, you might have some issues. If you watch my other video on how to get a necromancer, I was having a hard time getting the undead to join. I figured out the bug having to do with attend meeting, which we'll talk about soon. But basically, you're going to want to get some sort of corpse and get them to have access to your mayor, and they should apply for citizenship eventually. And then you can have them like join the military and put them in these slots right here. So we should have that new vampire in here. I might miss them because I've got so many dwarves now. But yeah, they should be, yeah, right there. They should be able to now join the military, and then you can give them orders and station them, and then they'll like attack things for you with their magical abilities. It's pretty awesome. I'll try and show you what that looks like, and then dive into the steps, okay? So before we go over how to get these guys to join you, here's a couple werebeasts that are undead, and they allow you to demonstrate the effect of their magical ability pretty well. So they raised their hand, and that made this guy just like fly. So these guys have the force push ability, so that's their magical ability that this necromancer has learned. So that's kind of a cool thing. Yeah. Okay, so if you haven't seen this before, I've got my undead unit right here, and I'm just charging him into just a mass of undead units right here. And we're going to look at the combat log when he's done. But you can see he's actually doing all right himself right now. He is able to fight pretty well, even though he's got a mangled hand. And like he's just going to be able to resist these guys for forever. So like undead units are incredibly powerful. They're strong. Basically in defeat, they don't tire out. So like these are undead units that we're fighting. They will kill most living units pretty quickly. Oh, this guy's also one of my undeads that's fighting. But look, they're like super messed up, but they're still totally in it. And then if we look at the, oh look, they're no, that's, these guys don't get trances. That was my living guys that I sent in beforehand, just to see what was up. So the first step in actually getting an undead is to get some dwarf and kill them, but in a way that doesn't completely mangle their corpse. So this dwarf is actually a vampire. Vampires are very difficult to wound without getting like a spinal injury. But this one did manage to get wounded. And you can kind of see that this is the bleeding heart example that I have. And so this person should die, and they have a corpse there. And that corpse is not mangled. This is just a regular corpse. They can sometimes say mangle on there and still work out, but it's not super consistent is what I've noticed. And then what we need to do is actually revive them. So he's got line of sight now, and if we get him to attack the kangaroo, there's a 50-50 chance that this guy will either become a corpse, which is just a zombie. These purple ones, they're zombies, they don't have souls. The blue ones do have souls and can be further recruited. This one will never be recruitable. But if it had gone the other way, then it totally would have been a recruitable undead. So just make sure the corpse isn't mangled, and you should be able to get that soul intact, but you have to get it on this first try, because if you try and kill this one and revive it, there's no soul in there. So it won't retain like the vampire or were infections or any of those skills or anything. Okay, so that's that first step. So at this point, you should have some dwarves that are Rotten Slayers, or they've got some other sort of title. Their font in the Steam version shows up as a light blue. So you can see that this guy's undead and intelligent undead, like one of the magic users. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see Sibrick here as well, and Sodal. And then I've also got this other vampire undead. So when you do the vampire undeads, they still keep the vampire title, though they will look a little bit different. I think also it might change some parts, like some info in here. Yeah, you can see, like, for example, their thoughts. They don't really have real feelings about their thoughts, and they don't have any memories. So that guy is an undead. And these guys, they're just like any resident. They show up in your citizens section. So like, just like these, no, those aren't performers. Like this human dancer, this person has asked to be a permanent resident. So the undead get given that status if they are already part of your faction. I haven't tried this with non-citizens, but one of my buddies has, and he said that it totally works. I'm not sure though if you need to give them residence and then citizenship, though. That might be the case. But in any case, for your dwarves, you just need to give them citizenship right here, which should take maybe a month or two from what I've heard. But for me, it took like over 2 years, and it ended up being some bugs that were resulting because the mayor was not able to path to these guys. So if we look in here in the citizens and the various jobs, then you can see there's 2 people doing a 10 meeting. There can only ever be 2 from what I've seen with the current settings in Dwarf Fortress, which seems kind of buggy because there's all these people waiting to do meetings. And so your people can't get to their meetings to become citizens. So you gotta clear that out. And the main issue for me was that I had a bunch of dwarves that didn't have access to the mayor because they're vampires. So I had all these vampires in here, and it was an issue. So I'll show you what that looked like. And basically what I ended up having to do was just exile them all, which is kind of a shame. You could probably find some other way. You might be able to get like the mayor's office to be between your living and undead part of your fort. So I was thinking of maybe putting a little mayor's office in here and letting the vampires come in and talk to them, but then they are going to drink the blood of the mayor. Kind of like the bleeding heart from the very beginning, just totally killed the mayor when she talked to them. So I don't know if I'd recommend that, but you could just have your mayor be a sacrifice. Like they might talk to them, they might not. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to go about this. But long story short, you can try and burrow them. It doesn't work. You can try and put them in military squads to reset their tasks. None of that really works. So let's show you that. So this was my issue, was that I had like this guy right there stuck in a 10 meeting, and like the other vampires, they don't seem to really have jobs, but they're just kind of wandering around. And I think sometimes Doran was having that attend meeting marked. So it was just kind of this thing that was preventing other people from doing meetings, basically, if you look at the jobs. So because they were kind of stuck in that, then other people weren't able to get to their meetings, and it just kind of ground the whole mayoral processes down to a halt. So you want to make sure that that's good. Also, something to consider is that you need to make sure your mayor has an office that's functional. I'm not sure if he needs his other needs taken care of, but definitely you're going to want to have that office set up. And I have that just set up right here. So you can see that this is our mayor, and they've got all their stuff set up right there so that they're happy and staying in one spot. So if someone wants to talk to them, they can come here and talk to them. It's pretty convenient, and it works pretty well. So just make sure that your mayor is available to all of your dwarves. And then make sure that you're just keeping an eye out for that petition. It should come in. For me, it took like 2 months after I cleared out that backlog. So just be patient, and it should happen eventually. Yeah. Thank you for joining me.